Imagine you're a time traveler, stepping into Earth's ancient oceans, and everything around you looks ready for war. Creatures locked inside thick shells. Fish are basically swimming around in bone helmets. Animals covered head to tail in spikes, sharp enough to shred anything that gets close. This wasn't unusual. This was just how you stayed alive. Now, fast forward to today. The biggest, fastest, most successful animals on Earth? Totally exposed. No shells, no armor plates, nothing. Somewhere along the way, evolution made what seems like a backwards choice. It stopped building tanks and started building race cars. So, if armor worked so incredibly well for so long, why did nature just walk away from it? Evolution doesn't keep souvenirs. Here's what most people get wrong about evolution. It doesn't care what used to work. It doesn't plan for the future. It doesn't keep things around for sentimental reasons. And it definitely doesn't optimize for looking cool. Evolution basically asks one question on repeat, generation after generation. Does this help you survive right now? What works? It survives. What costs too much gets dropped. And sometimes, the exact trait that kept your ancestors alive for millions of years becomes a burden you can't afford. The story of armor isn't about failure. It's about the world changing faster than heavy plates could adapt. Back when armor dominated everything, rewind far enough, and everything moved in slow motion. Predators weren't particularly powerful. Muscles were inefficient. Nervous systems were pretty basic. In that world, armor was basically a cheat code. Something tries to eat you and can't crack your shell. You win. Game over. The ancient oceans were absolutely packed with armored life. Trilobites rolling into defensive balls. Ammonites carrying spiral shells, built to absorb crushing attacks. Early fish wore thick bone plates that worked like medieval helmets. These animals didn't just have armor. They went all in on it. When life started crawling onto land, armor came along for the ride. Thick skin reinforced with bone, overlapping plates, spiked tails that could wreck anything stupid enough to attack. For millions and millions of years, this was the winning strategy. But armor always had a price tag. Here's the catch nobody talks about. Armor was never free. Every shell, every plate, every spike costs energy. You needed calcium. You had to build it. You had to maintain it. And once you had it, you had to drag that weight around, everywhere you went. All that effort came straight out of your budget for speed, flexibility, and quick reactions. At first, the trade-off made perfect sense. Predators moved slowly. Attacks were rare. And surviving just one encounter could mean passing your genes on for generations. But as the world got more crowded and competition heated up, those costs started piling on. Armored animals needed way more food. They moved more slowly. They couldn't react fast. And when danger got serious enough to overwhelm their defenses, running away wasn't exactly an option. Predators started breaking the code. And this is where things really get interesting. The evolutionary arms race kicks into high gear. Prey develops armor. Predators either adapt or starve. Jaws got stronger over time. Teeth became sharper. Some predators evolved crushing bites that could crack shells like we crack walnuts. Others developed narrow, pointed teeth specifically designed to slip between armor plates. And some didn't even bother breaking armor. They just hunted in packs and wore their prey down through pure persistence. Suddenly, armor wasn't a guarantee anymore. It was just buying you time. Speed completely changed the game. Once armor stopped being reliable, speed became the new king. Because think about it, what's better than surviving an attack is not getting attacked in the first place. Fast animals could bail before contact even happened. They could reposition on the fly. They could cover way more ground and adapt to whatever the environment threw at them. Speed gave you control over the entire encounter, instead of forcing you to just sit there, take the hits, and pray your armor holds. Meanwhile, armored animals were stuck with heavy bodies that accelerated like trucks and turned about as well. Once a threat got past their defenses, there was literally no backup plan. Natural selection started favoring lighter builds, stronger muscles, and more efficient movement. Protection dropped down the priority list. Performance took over. Then intelligence broke everything wide open. But the real game changer was brains. A smart animal doesn't need armor if it can avoid danger completely. It learns where predators hunt. It picks up on warning signs. It remembers what worked last time and what got someone killed. Social behavior made this even more powerful. Groups could share intel, warn each other about threats, and coordinate their defenses. Behavior could shift in real time based on what was happening right now. That kind of flexibility is basically unbeatable. The biggest animals said, "We don't need this." Some of the largest animals in history ditched armor entirely. Those massive sauropod dinosaurs had no armor. Modern whales and elephants, same deal. When you're that absolutely massive, predation pressure basically disappears. Nothing's messing with you anyway. And unlike armor, sheer size doesn't necessarily kill your mobility. Whales migrate across entire oceans. Elephants walk hundreds of miles. These giants prove something important. Evolution drops traits the second they stop providing value, regardless of how successful they used to be. Where armor still actually works. Now, armor didn't completely vanish. It stuck around in specific situations where the costs still make sense. Turtles live slow, deliberate lives where running away just isn't realistic. Armadillos spend most of their time burrowing. Porcupines use their quills for deterrence. They're not trying to tank damage, just make predators think twice. In water, buoyancy offsets the weight issue, so some armored species can still make it work. Evolution didn't abandon armor universally. It just specialized it for niches where it still pays off. Then humans showed up and ended the debate. And then humans arrived and basically settled the whole argument. Tools, weapons, coordinated hunting strategies. Natural armor offered basically zero protection against intelligence combined with technology. No shell is stopping a spear. No bone plates are saving you from a trap. And good luck with your armor when humans figure out fire. In a world shaped by humans, survival comes down to adaptability, how fast you can reproduce, and how quickly you can learn. Physical armor just couldn't compete. The bottom line. So, was armor a mistake? Absolutely not. It was one of the most wildly successful adaptations in Earth's entire history. But evolution doesn't do loyalty. It doesn't preserve what used to work just because it was effective once upon a time. As predators got faster, environments got more complex, and intelligence became more valuable, armor became too expensive, too rigid, and way too slow. Nature didn't abandon armor because it failed. Nature abandoned armor because the world changed. If you enjoyed this look into how evolution really works, stick around for more deep dives into nature and science. And if there's another evolutionary mystery you want us to tackle, drop it in the comments. We actually read them all.